Fireproof TV, man.
Fireproof TV in the building. Fireproof TV jumping off.
You're watching Fireproof TV, turn it up.
Fireproof TV. Shout out to Fireproof in the building.
You're watching Fireproof TV.
And shout out to Fireproof.
Fireproof TV, fireproof, not waterproof, not gas-proof, but fireproof, you know.
You're watching Fireproof TV.
What's up? My name is Ebony Mayberry, and you're watching Fireproof TV.
Shout out to Fireproof TV.
I wouldn't try nothing if you don't have one.
Fireproof on Fireproof.
It's Daddy O Dupree. You watching Fireproof TV. Bow.
You are now watching Fireproof TV. It's Fireproof TV.
You watching Fireproof TV live right now. Shout out to Fireproof.
Bam Miles, you guys are watching Fireproof TV.
Roll with Howard and Howard. Roll with Money Mo. That's what it is, man.
I got them big boy things. I got them big boy things. I got them big boy.
Part of the game that I do. Like I'm making visual.
Hey, I like it.
Yeah. You know, this is where we are. We at the TV station. I mean the radio station. You know, we WGRD. You know, 97.9. I wasn't just talking on that when I was on the boat this morning. What you gonna want to do?
Oh man, I'm on my 90-day
I
challenge. I got 4 more pounds to lose, and I got down to that 10. I'm there.
I just, you know, this is just my, it's gonna be my lunch for the day. This is it, man. Life Connections, Fireproof TV, 97.9, the Sunday Town Hall, Town Square.
What is it called? Sunday Morning Town Square.
What is it?
Sunday Morning Town Square. Thanks for joining me, guys. So did it provide you with another sense of family, would you say?
Yeah, I can say that. I can say but it was more camaraderie and companionship rather than a disciplinary aspect of parenting over a family.
Okay. So how did your family feel when they found out that you had joined up with the Wealthy Street Boys?
It was really a secret. Like no one really knew.
Okay.
Yeah, like it wasn't like my family wasn't condoning my lifestyle. Like I want to make that first and foremost.
Okay.
My parents were good parents.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you got to be careful of the influence of the children, because parents can really raise their children positively,
Mm-hmm.
but a child makes his own
Mm-hmm.
personal decisions on their own.
So you said you were keeping it a secret. Did you feel kind of a sense of guilt that you were in a gang?
No, it was just I didn't want to defy my parents.
Okay.
It was more of me respecting them to the point where, you know, if I'm seen on a corner, I didn't want nobody to go back and say, yeah, I seen your son on the corner.
Okay.
And, you know, I'm 13, 14, 15 years old. That's kind of young for a kid to be
Sure.
on the corner.
Right. Now, do you have any other family members who were involved with gangs?
Yeah, I have a multitude of family that were involved in the street life. Like I said, the gang activity, you know, is not really a Grand Rapids culture. So I just want to really confirm that to the community that,
Sure.
you know what I mean, it's more of a lifestyle culture.
Now, the gangs in Grand Rapids, do they connect to larger gangs, say, in Detroit, Chicago, L.A., New York, or are they just simply Grand Rapids entities?
Right, Grand Rapids isn't a town that really creates connections outside of the city. Like I was saying, it isn't gang-driven. It is a city that is driven by neighborhoods, streets, and blocks.
Now, is there an actual business model with these gangs, or is it just kind of causing upheaval and nuisance? What's kind of going on behind the scenes?
Nah, see, I guess, if there's no business model to these neighborhoods today. You know, they are being taught. They're not being taught anything outside of what they're learning in school. The education institution taught economics in the first 15 years of a child's life, it would have been a different outcome, because the people would be driving and striving towards excellence in a profession instead of to become a worker. So it's kind of, you know, the business model is designed inside the community, like the neighborhoods inside the gangs. They design their own personal just by not being taught, but just picking up business skills, just innate nature.
Okay. But I mean, as far as perhaps business, I mean, with some of these gangs, drugs are being sold, and that's kind of maybe at the heart of what's going on. Correct?
Right. I could say that in the past.
Okay.
Like in the past, gang rivals and gang camaraderie and drug business models, I can say yes. But today's youth, drugs is not even an issue. It's more of them using the drugs than selling the drugs.
So is there any business that they're doing these days? Anything they're selling? Are they selling guns or anything like that? What do they got going on that you?
I think it's a lot of robbery.
Okay.
It's a lot of breaking and entering, stealing,
Okay.
larceny.
Okay.
That's how they get their money and it's you always gonna have the negative and the positive when you're talking about the street life, because some kids don't have anything, so they got to make something out of nothing. When you're forced in your hand and you don't have no one reaching to help, it's hard to decide to eat or not.
Right.
It's not really a question.
It's about survival.
Exactly. And when you're forced to be in survival mode, it's kind of you being really judgmental, because it's like a tiger. He's in the wilderness and he's not expected to eat because he doesn't supposed to eat that type of animal.
One is going to do what he has to do.
Exactly.
So you're 18 years old. You go to prison. What led up to that? What happened?
The lifestyle had changed. The things in my life had changed. I had been into the gang life, into the drug life for a while now.
Mm-hmm.
So my wealth status had increased.
Okay.
So the more we were getting into the money, it started being more about the money.
Okay.
So, from there, we started pushing a large amount of drugs within the community because the drug life was something that we were accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said again, if we were able to transition those business models and exchange it and take away the drug life, I think you would have multi-millionaires in the community.
Sure. Because it's almost similar in infrastructure to what's going on with the corporation. It's just a little bit different.
Definitely.
So, you obviously rose up through the ranks. You become more visible. What did you get in trouble for?
We were indicted. It was drug conspiracy. Possession. It was a lot of people that was involved. It was a lot of non-descriptive. It's kind of I don't really want to go in depth, but
Sure.
it's so. It was so beyond the culture of Grand Rapids in our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
When the indictments fell federally,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't understand the extent of a federal indictment. We didn't understand. We were playing a game that we really didn't understand once we got into a different league.
Mm-hmm.
And at 18, 17 years old, and when no one's teaching you the game,
Mm-hmm.
no matter if it's corporate or illegitimate lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
you only know what you're being taught.
Right.
And if you're not being taught effectively, then you fail at the end when
Right.
the pressure comes.
Right.
And that's what happened in 1997. The pressure came, and it was the fall of the Wealthy Street boys, gangs, however you want to call it. Their decline came by not having knowledge of self, not having knowledge of anything outside of a neighborhood.
Okay. So you go to prison. What's that time period like for you? What's it like on the inside?
I must be honest, man. It was educational.
Okay.
I'm a
Educational in a positive way or a
definitely,
negative way?
definitely for me in a positive way.
Okay.
However, at that age I was 18 years old, so my mind was still fresh.
Mm-hmm.
I was willing to learn,
Okay.
so I was around a few different good brothers that was willing to reach out to me and teach me.
Mm-hmm.
So, it was educational for me. I was around guys that, like when I went to prison, I was the youngest person on the compound.
Okay.
Like I was the youngest person on my indictment at the time when we got indicted in '97. I was the youngest person on the case.
Okay.
So and then when I went to prison, I was the youngest person in the prison of 1,500 individuals.
Mm-hmm.
So I had got a form of notoriety of people wanting to help me because I was the youngest.
Okay.
So I got older individuals that may have been down for a long time, may looked at me as a son,
Mm-hmm.
may looked at me as a nephew or grandson or whatever, but they was willing to teach me things that I hadn't been taught when I was on the streets.
So when you say they were teaching you things,
Life things.
Life things. Okay.
Responsibility, accountability. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Responsible, being productive, ways to change your
Okay.
life. What are you doing? How are you?
Okay.
Because they had a time to rehabilitate.
Okay.
I was still fresh. I was coming out, was still kind
Okay.
of wild still.
Okay. So they wanted to help you go in a positive direction, because
Definitely.
often you'll hear about people go to jail and it kind of makes them almost a super criminal because they get educated down that way. So for you, it was, here's how you can turn your life around and
Definitely.
change things. So after that, you come out of jail. What's that period like for you? What's the readjustment like?
Poverty.
Poverty.
Felony. I mean, you can only imagine. When I was used to acquiring a certain amount of money, not even just economically, anybody. If you're used to having a job that pays you $50,000 to $60,000 a year, and then you got to go to a job that pays you $20,000, it's hard to adjust.
Completely different world.
Completely different world. So I had to adjust to the world, and I had a hard time with it.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be honest, I had a hard time with it. I tried my hardest.
So what happened at that point when you're adjusting?
I worked 2 jobs, went to school.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting married. I'm having children.
Okay.
Responsibility came, and the things that I was able to accomplish once those responsibility came were limited due to the fact that I had a felony, had a family. I mean, with the felony, it takes away so much of your rights.
Mm-hmm.
If you never had one, you don't know what you stripped from.
Sure.
So people need to know that, you can't. It's hard to go into prison, come back out here in society after you rehabilitate yourself, and then you're incarcerated again by trying to live.
So people will put you in a box because
Definitely
of that.
in a box. Like they want you to make $740 and you got 5 children and you got child support.
Mhm.
And how do you eat and feed your family? It's
Sure.
almost like back to survival mode.
Right.
So it's it's a catch-22. Like, cause you get punished for your crime.
Mm-hmm.
Then when you go to prison,
Mhm.
and you come home, do your time,
Mhm.
and you punished again.
So you'd gone back to jail as well then, correct?
Yep.
And what led to that? What happened?
I lost my spirituality.
Okay.
I learned my spirituality on my first time away.
Mm-hmm.
I became Muslim. I got more in tune with my Creator,
Mm-hmm.
and I left. I was strong for my first couple years home,
Mm-hmm.
and then slowly but surely I started slipping away.
Okay.
I pray so I stopped offering my prayers regularly. I stopped, like people go to church. I stopped going to the masjid.
Mm-hmm.
So my spiritual essence
Mhm.
was being stripped away from me by the pressures of life.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of going to the Creator, I was running from it.
Okay.
And that was my test. And I understood it, but I fought it.
Okay. So you kind of strayed from the path you were on that was a positive path.
Definitely.
And what was it that ended up sending you back to jail?
Possession of a firearm.
Okay.
Yep, I had a felon in possession of a firearm.
Okay. And what was it like the second time in for you?
A master's degree.
A master's degree.
Definitely.
Okay.
In spirituality and in economic injustice and in community activism.
So you're in there the second time. Who takes you under their wing? Who helps you, get things turned around permanently for yourself?
I mean, it was me wanting the change. Like when I went to where I was at, that's how I ran into Life Connections. Life Connections was an 18-month program.
Mm-hmm.
It was called Life Connections. And it was an 18-month residential program when I was incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
And I signed up for it. I was there in April. I was in the program in June. So I knew it was a God's mission from there on out. I knew it was a purpose in my life.
Mm-hmm.
That was when my change came. And when I was in Life Connections, the things that they taught us first about the spiritual self and connecting to whatever your spiritual essence may be,
Mm-hmm.
they just wanted you to connect to something.
Okay.
And once you connected to something, they start giving you the tools to understand how they worked and how life works. And so they taught you the life skills, the etiquettes, things that we wouldn't even, we don't have the privilege
Mm-hmm.
to know. Like they give us the basics when you talk about schooling to become an employee.
Sure.
But they don't give us the essence of becoming human beings living life after school.
Okay.
So I was able to be taught those things, but I didn't understand why it had to be prison.
Okay. Now, you began working for your family's business, Gillespie Funeral Home. What's that been like for you?
It's been positive.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle's been very instrumental in this time here. He's been allowing us to get more acclimated into the business. You know, our words count now. You know, and before we was a part of it, you know, it was his way or the highway. Now he's in the transitional mode of passing down the torch to his son, his daughter, and me, myself. So, you know, it's a beautiful thing. It's a back to the family structure to create legacy, to show the city of Grand Rapids that success can happen. You know, and sometimes it has to be within your reach before you believe it.
And has that strong family foundation been key in keeping you on a positive path going forward?
Definitely.
Now, as far as Life Connections goes, what's your role in that these days?
Life Connection, I'm the director of operations, meaning I'm the guy that's in the community. I'm the guy in the streets. I'm the guy building the relationships. I'm the face, I could say, you know. But it's more behind me than just me. I'm just the face. You know, I have an executive director, Miss Danielle Key. She's very active in creating and building. She's a phenomenal woman. You know, I have to give her respect. Without her, Life Connections wouldn't really be existing. I'd just be out here striving, fighting a cause with nothing, with no foundation.
Now, how have you been able to reach young kids and help them from going down a path of being in a gang?
I just been going to them in their space. I go to them. I don't expect them to come to me because it's new for them. Change is new and it's hard. And when you have to go somewhere to get change, it's definitely kind of difficult to be receptive. So sometimes I just go in their element where they're comfortable.
Sure.
And I go and I allow them to be them. And I don't judge them. I don't, you know what I mean, tell them. First I have to understand them before I can even help them. And sometimes people want to help without no understanding, and it's a, you know what I mean, miscommunication coming. It's a difficulty to start over from there.
Sure. And I suppose you kind of almost have two sides. I mean, with the kids, you've got the kids who have not gotten involved in the gang lifestyle, and then you've got the kids who are caught up in it. So what are you presenting to each of those? So if it's somebody young who's 13 or so who could be on the edge with going in, what do you show them? What do you present to them to, you know, kind of show them that they should go down more of a positive road?
I'll be the example. As said, I show them the reality of it. I give it to them. I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't live a life of sugarcoat because, you know, you try to hide something from a child, inevitably they're going to find it in some other way. So I don't hide anything, so I keep everything, as we say in the community, 100. You know what I mean? And keeping it 100 is the best way I can put it because they already know. And if we act like our children don't know at 13, 14 about certain things that we try to hide from them, then we are handicapping their lessons.
Right.
And I don't handicap their lessons. I teach them where they are, no matter what the climate may be, how difficult it may seem. I have to strap my boots on, and sometimes I go back in my space because I have a head of a lot of information, a lot of experience, and I can go back to that era. So I remember where I was at that time. So I speak to them as if that I was in that time, so I can relate. And then I bring them out of that.
What about the ones who are already involved in it? They're already reaping the rewards. I mean, are they receptive to, you know, what you're sharing with them? Or are they just saying, you know, hey, it's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to go to jail. I'm not going to end up dead.
It's 50-50 because you got to understand people make choices. Everyone doesn't want to change. So I focus on those that striving to change. Those that don't want to change, I try to reach someone that's close to them that wants change and allow them to share their change with the ones that they look up to. So they end up coming around anyway because it's about being strategic. I play chess, not checkers. I'm not trying to just jump to pieces. I'm trying to checkmate. I'm trying to change lives. I'm trying to be able to make a safer community. And there's certain ways you have to do it. You can't just do it by black and white or a structure because sometimes people live outside the structures. And if you can't reach them from that way, then you're going to have a difficulty.
Now, we were talking about earlier your friend Mike. You looked up to this guy. He, you know, kind of led you, you know, to want to be involved in gang life. What happened to him? Where's he these days?
Mike is incarcerated at the time, you know, still fighting to come home. You know,
Are you in contact with him at all?
No, I haven't been in contact with him. I haven't been. We have fell out before I left.
Okay.
You know, regardless, you know, we men. You know, egos get in the way, and you know, conflict of misunderstanding. But, I still love the brother, you know what I mean, no matter what. Like, it's not on my end we fell out, it's on his end, but, I allow time to, make everything get better.
Now, what do we need to do as a community to keep kids from going down that gang life?
Build relationships, man. That's the most important thing, and not judge them, because you don't know what their situation is. Like, you see a child and you see him on a street corner, and you judge him off the bell because he's on the street corner. But you don't know why he's there, what led him to be there. None of the intricate pieces of leading any person in any direction. If we don't know those, I feel that we don't have right to judge.
Well, we jump and we make assumptions.
Definitely.
But we've not been in somebody else's shoes. We don't know what drove them to where they've been driven to. And, like we were talking about before, it really comes down to survival.
Indeed.
And sometimes that's somebody's only choice.
Exactly. Not to say it's their only choice, it's the only choice that surrounds them.
Sure. And sometimes it's a very attractive choice.
It can be depending on who's involved. If you're around, like, I look at today's climate of the guys and the nature of the beast that's out here today when they're just killing and this gang, and they call it gang life, but to me this is like so frivolous. All it takes is the community to get involved and all this is done. Because we're talking about children that don't have no direction.
Now, you were saying that somebody obviously has to want to change, to walk away from the gang lifestyle. How successful have you been in, bringing folks out from that lifestyle?
I'm batting 100 at the time.
Great.
I'm batting 100. I haven't had one failure yet. I haven't had one guy that reverted back after he's been communicating and we've been building relationship. He's increasing change.
Okay.
They're elevating because they have it. And it's different when they have it and want it and you can just lead them there.
Okay.
You don't have to force them because they already want it.
Now, in keeping somebody out, is it similar to, say, like Alcoholics Anonymous, where somebody's, obviously going to meetings on a regular basis? Do you have, is there a structure maybe where you have sponsors or something like that to kind of check in and keep people accountable and make sure that they're staying on a positive path?
Right, I'm working towards that. Like, I'm a relatively new nonprofit organization, and when you're a new kid on the block, it's hard for people to, to really trust that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. So what I've been doing is just, I've been reaching out, but I've been self-funding. Everything I've been doing on the back of myself.
Okay.
And me and Miss Danielle been just pushing the agenda. I'm the type of individual that when I have a vision, and I have a passion, and I move towards it, I don't really wait for people to decide if my passion is good enough for them.
Okay.
So my purpose in life is to be in tune with my Creator and serve Him by serving His people.
Okay. Now, recently we've had a number of shootings in Grand Rapids, and I came to know about you. You were at a press conference with Police Chief Belk. How many of these shootings do you feel are gang-related? Do you think sometimes it's just kind of a blanket statement? People assume it's all gang-related. But you obviously, kind of have your finger on the pulse of these things. What are your thoughts?
I think that, I don't think they're not gang-related. They all have their own purposes and reasons behind them.
Okay.
Like anything else, they're not just spontaneous murders.
Okay.
Murder is led up to.
Okay.
Unless you're like in Chicago, Detroit, where they're just affiliations or you got to do this to get inside the gang.
Okay.
Initiations. Like Grand Rapids is not that town, and we can prevent it from being that town.
Okay.
But we're in between two murder cities right now.
Right.
And these are the influxes.
Okay.
If you look at Chicago's murder rate and you look at Detroit murder rate and you look at Grand Rapids murder rate, you can see that we're not even in comparison.
Right.
But it doesn't take much, 2 hours one way, 2 hours the other way,
right,
to change that whole condition. So we got to be mindful that the community has to be protective of the streets, not just the police, because the police they only see one angle.
Right.
So we got to be mindful of that as well.
But you were saying earlier, kind of, the Grand Rapids gangs are kind of their own entity, but would you see the Detroit and Chicago influence perhaps coming more into Grand Rapids at
Definitely,
some point?
I see it. I feel it.
Okay.
The atmosphere is there. It's a lot of, and it's, it's based on the music. Like
Okay.
the kids are entrenched with the music. Like the music is their teacher. And the things that the music is teaching today is gang violence.
Okay.
And we're not making them accountable. Like my objective is to make them accountable.
Okay.
Those that are talking about it, perpetuating it, because I understand that music is a medicine for the spirit,
Sure.
but it can also be this alcoholic poison.
It can be a bad medicine as well.
Definitely.
Now, you'd gone to some of the community meetings with the police chief. What were some of the solutions that were being discussed, and do you feel that any of them are viable?
I mean, it was a multitude of solutions. I think they all are valuable, and I think every angle and every entity has its own job to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think everyone should do things collectively at the end, but each individual going to have their different relationship that they can entrench in new developments, bring new people on. So people got to use people and not misuse people.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we fail to use people that we try to single out. And you know, when you're trying to single out strong people, it's kind of difficult because then they start to muscle their way in.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't be that way. It should be easy when everyone's on the same objective.
Right. It should be about the greater good.
Exactly.
The good of the community.
Yeah, exactly. But sometimes egos get involved and judgments
Sure.
get involved. Like if you judge me from my paperwork, you got a different view of me if you never met me.
Okay.
And that's how people view you. If you view me in black and white, you're gonna say they call me a career criminal at 18,
Mm-hmm.
just by paperwork. But I was in myself, I was a heck of a young man. I might have chose a different path in life, but I don't feel like my spirit was corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't have no proper guidance.
Right.
But the media, which does, convicted me as a career criminal without even any convictions as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't understand that.
Right. And it's unfortunate that the
Oh, yeah,
media
oh,
does
yeah,
that.
definitely.
People need to look beyond those things.
Exactly.
Now, on TV, you discuss the importance of mentors. What makes someone a good mentor?
I mean, a person that understands the person that they're mentoring.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to understand the individual before you can help them.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to first know yourself
Right.
and be confident in who you are before you can help someone else.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, mentors really don't even believe in self, and they try to mentor other individuals that need guidance and help, but they still need guidance and help.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difficult. You know, it's like a double-edged sword, because I think that mentors are so needed to be mentored themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I still need to be mentored.
Sure.
Like, I still call on my mentors for advice
Mm-hmm.
to go over things. Like, when you got in contact with me, I got right in contact with my mentors.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this?
Mhm.
How should I go about this? These are the questions. How should I answer these?
Sure.
If you don't have that, which majority of them don't,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what check balances do you have?
Mm-hmm. Now, for mentoring somebody who's thinking about going down the path of gang life or already in, is it better to have somebody who's been down that road before?
Definitely. That's what Life Connections is based on.
Sure.
It's teach a life, save a life.
Mm-hmm.
Experience is what keeps us connected. Like, our experiences connect us to whoever like, if I was to bring someone in here that does radio talk show hosting, guys would connect because this is what you
Correct.
guys do.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with anything else in life.
Mhm.
You connect with who you connect with.
Sure. Now, someone wants to connect with Life's Connections. What's the best way for them to do that?
They can log on to Life Connections, www.life's Connections, Life's with an S, Lifes, Connections, ConnectionScions.org.
Okay. And what type of events do you guys have coming up that community members might be interested in?
I got we're looking for March the 9th, doing a tribute to the late, great, Notorious Big, and a good close friend of mine, Shaman Figures, who both lost their life to senseless gun violence
Mm-hmm.
and murder. And I want to celebrate their lives with the Stop the Violence Everywhere movement that we're pushing today. Like, the Stop the Violence Everywhere, we're trying to take everywhere, because
Mhm.
violence is perpetuating communities and innocent people are being targeted. And if the community don't get involved everywhere, we're not going to be anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm doing that March the 9th at the Mosaic Space on 25 Division. It's a charitable event sponsored by Life Connections. We're just trying to do fundraisers like I said, I'm self-funding my projects.
Okay.
So I have to do what I have to do until people are willing to say, well, Tahj, you're doing a great job. We're for you. We see you. I want to make everything transparent where people can see everything going, because I have a for-profit company as well. So what I do for my nonprofit is strictly for the nonprofit. Like, I don't want anything. I'm not looking for salaries. I'm looking to be able to pay those that deserve to be paid and help those that's needing to be helped.
Sure, sure. Now, you mentioned you've got kids yourself. Have you discussed with them, your past?
Definitely. I hid it for a while. Like, I didn't want my son, because he gravitates to negativity so fast, and I didn't want him to think that was cool.
Okay.
Yep. So I told him I was at school, but he is so smart and so inquisitive. He would ask. Like, I picked my brother up from prison, and I took my son and my daughter, and he had just did 20 years. And he had on the same outfit as I had on when they used to come visit me.
Okay.
So my son asked me, he said, Daddy, why do Uncle Keith got on the same outfit as you had in the pictures? And I say, oh, man, I don't know. I'm mad. I get upset, like he shouldn't ask the question.
Sure.
Quit questioning me. But that shows me the importance of our influence on our children. They watch everything that you can only imagine that they see. So we have to be mindful of the examples that we set.
Sure.
So I make sure my son sees the positive examples as well. I have to reinforce them to make him positive.
Sure.
My example is going to lead his path.
Now, you guys are looking for volunteers for Life's Connections?
Definitely. I'm looking for anybody that's willing to participate, that can help the cause, the betterment of the city of Grand Rapids, to stop violence, to promote positive mental health. Like I said, you can log on to www.lifesconnections.org, and you can sign up. It's a volunteer application on there. Just sign up, man. We're looking for all that's willing to help.
This is Paul Jindrazak for Sunday Morning Town Square, and I've been joined by Tahj Gillespie. At age 15, he joined the Wealthy Street Boys gang. Age 18, he went to prison. By 26, turned his life around. He's involved with Life's Connections, and he's helping give kids a positive direction and keep them out of the gang life. Thanks so much for joining me.
I appreciate you, Paul. Thank you.